just think that fact alone is going to cause the other 10 companies in your space to accelerate M&A to compete from a capital perspective, a cost of capital perspective, an efficiency standpoint, or other things, will that be a spark?
Well, Tim and David run very good companies. But if you're using property debt as we do, there's no cost of capital advantage. There may be a cost of corporate debt capital advantage in size. I don't think there's a cost of equity capital, probably. And then in terms of the operating business, I don't think there's significant economies of scale in the apartment business, unlike some of these other sectors. So hopefully there's still room for the little guy.
Let me turn the tables a little bit. Rather than talking about acquiring companies, talking about selling your companies, and how to think about the right time to sell. And you go back to that 04 to 07 time frame where we had significant privatizations that occurred, and a lot of CEOs and a lot of egos that sort of said, hey, it's the right time, I'm going to hit the mark and sell. And I guess maybe I'll go to Mark first, because Mark's had the most experience deciding to sell. And, I guess, how do you go through that? How do you evaluate when the right time to sell is, and going through that?
Well, I don't think for a public company it should be a matter of ego. I think you should always be taking account of the facts and comparing your business plan and the risk in your business plan with the certainty of a sale. Now, if it's a stock sale, you have to weigh that risk as well. But I think any management team and board has to constantly be weighing that. And in our case, recently with Sunrise, looking at the appetite and the cost of capital of the REITs, thinking about the demands that we would have as an independent company ongoing, we had a decision to make. And we also had to say, are we being fully valued today? Do we think that our real estate is worth more than where it's trading? If we see that gap continuing because our real estate was embedded in our operations, and just normal operations aren't going to unlock that value, I think the job of the CEO and the board is to do what they can to unlock that value. You find yourself out of work afterward, but that's I think what your job is, and it's very much market driven. Recently, because the cost of capital was so low, part of the decision is what's the risk of waiting? Because if you think you're waiting for the right time in your company, but then the markets change and the financing markets change, you could have blown an awful lot of money for your shareholders.
I'm curious, for others' perspectives, all of you have been involved more so as going concerns. How does that, valuations have recovered significantly, right? Cap rates are down, multiples are close to peak levels. How does that start coming into your mindset about when the right time to sell is? Tim, you just bought, so I'll let you sort of go on the other side of it for a second. Does that come into? You talk to the board about that. How do you? And what defenses do you need to make sure that no one's going to come after you? Why? For multifamily stocks, if anyone's watching, are trading at big discounts to NAV, which we can talk about that also. How do you?
So it doesn't make it a compelling sell, I guess. But I think if you're thinking about your business maybe less in an evergreen way, and it's about a trade, then you should probably be thinking about it and focus on it when pricing gets to be a premium to significant premium to NAV. I think for a company that views itself as having a solid business model, good strategy, it's a going concern. I think it's a matter of whether you think there's either some structural change going on in the industry and you're maybe on the wrong side of that structural change, or you have just a fundamental competitive disadvantage you something you can sort of get yourself out of. I think that's the time to as a going concern, you need to really start thinking more than just around the sort of value about potentially putting your assets in another platform where somebody does have some of those advantages, whether it's capabilities, whether it's market presence, whether it's scale, whether it's access to capital that you may not have.
I think it's also